What is going on, everyone? This is Kevin from Keimpiececarpentry. Got a new table saw, wanted to get the cast iron top treated. I reached out to Dan from Carbon Method. He was kind enough to send me this kit, and I'm going to apply it to my joiner bandsaw and my new table saw. You can see here stuff is in pretty rough shape. The table saw is not too bad because it's new. I'm in eastern North Carolina, so humidity is a real problem here. My shop is not climate controlled. Whenever I'm in there working, I have my garage door open, so all my cast iron tops are exposed to environmentals, whenever I'm in there. Rust is a serious problem. I wanted to get ahead of it, particularly for the table saw, so reached out to Dan. He was kind enough to hook me up. This Carbon Method stuff has a bunch of really good reviews out on YouTube from some other woodworkers, so I was eager to get started. The first step here is going to be to use the Carbon Method reconditioning oil. This stuff is going to be equivalent to like your WD-40 or any other lubricant degreaser to help remove that surface rust. So I'm giving a pretty good coat on the bandsaw, joiner, table saw, spreading it out with a paper towel, letting it sit in a little bit, and then I'm going to start hitting it with the Brillo pads, working through the grits, starting with the roughest and going up to the white. I think it's burgundy, gray, and then white. This process does take quite a bit of time, so I would dedicate, a Saturday to doing this for just shop maintenance. But I would probably say it is the most important part. After that oil soaked in a little bit, I would hit it with the roughest burgundy Brillo pad. There were some tough spots that needed more attention than others, but in between sandings, I would go ahead and wipe up all the residual rust that the oil brought up. And then I repeated this process on the joiner and the table saw. I did this 3 times, working through the grits of the Brillo pads. And each time I did it, I reapplied that conditioning oil and just repeated the whole process. Sprayed the oil down, spread it out, let it sit in a couple minutes, hit it with the higher grit Brillo pad, and just repeated that till I was all the way up to the white Brillo pad. By the end of it, everything looked pretty clean, and I was happy with where I was starting. As we continue on with the surface prep, the next step is going to be to use some denatured alcohol to get an initial cleansing of all the debris and residue left behind from the conditioning oil and the Brillo pads. You can see here how much comes off. So I repeated this process on all the surfaces until I wasn't picking anything up on the paper towel. Next step is going to be use the carbon cleanse. So this is just the final cleaning process before actually applying the graphene carbon coating itself. So final cleanse here, you just spray it on, buff it off with a rag, and then here's the actual graphene carbon cleanse. So there's very specific instructions for this. Dan's got some good videos out there, but I'll break it down as simple as possible. You throw some stuff on there. You do a horizontal pass that they call your well line. That's where the majority of the material is going to sit. And then you just press it up so it's evenly spread. Once you do that, you're going to let it sit for about 60 seconds, and you're going to do a leveling pass. And that will get the material evenly distributed. Wait another 60 seconds, and then you're going to come back and you're going to buff it. That completes one full process. They recommend 3 to 4 coats on all your materials. I did 5 coats on everything. I was bouncing back and forth between the bandsaw, joiner, and table saw. So I found that the time it took me to spread one layer was about 60 seconds. So I was just in a constant state of activity, bouncing around between my 3 tools and then following that process. Again, you do your initial coat, let it sit for 60 seconds, do a leveling pass where you're just going to angle the application pad at 45 degrees and lightly scrape it across the surface, wait another 60 seconds, and then you're going to buff it out with a rag. And then that's one coat. And you need to wait an hour in between those coats. So you can see if you're doing 3, 4, 5 coats, this is going to be an all-day thing. The final part of the process is applying a layer of carbon glide. This is a slick top coat, which will enable your work pieces to slide across that cast iron like it was on an air hockey table. This stuff is very effective. It does wear off fairly quickly, I think, so I keep a bottle of it on hand. So if I know I'm running a whole lot of pieces over my joiner, I'll just reapply as needed. And same thing with the table saw. You can tell when this stuff is on and it's working, and you can definitely tell when it wears off, but very easy to apply. And you can see some of the effects here, how with just a little flick, this scrap piece of wood just shoots across the work surface. So very happy with the end results when I was done fully applying this product. Here's just another look at all the final results on the bandsaw, joiner, and table saw. Overall, pretty happy with it. Again, a lot of the prep work is what's going to make the difference. Going through the grits on the Brillo pad and really cleaning it up. Starting with a nice clean process before applying. If you don't do that, it's all going to be a big waste of your time. So make sure you put in the work on the front end before you apply the product. I'm going to use it for a couple months and then we'll check back in. All right, so it's been about 3.5 months of heavy use after doing the carbon method, carbon coating. I haven't done any touch-ups on it other than just adding the Glide product as needed. Today's a really humid day. It's been rainy. I can feel the moisture in the air, and I can start feeling that rust is starting to accumulate. I can feel a tackiness. So I wanted to capture some footage here before I did another treatment on it. This here is my fault. I did a glue up. I needed a flat surface, so I hit it with a layer of wax, hoping that would prevent it, but something about wood glue just, I don't know, the solvents in it just ate right through, and I did get some bad marks, so that's on me. But you can see this stuff isn't bulletproof. It wears off. You can see the wear lines from running wood and cross-cut sleds across it. There is a little bit of, some small rust spots there that are forming. You can see the moisture in the air just from my hand touching it. So, I always work with my door open. If this was a climate-controlled shop, this stuff would be holding up a lot better. But I could tell you if I didn't have this on here, this whole thing would be rusted with the amount of moisture in the air. The bandsaw is looking pretty good. This doesn't get as much use. The joiner, obviously you're pressing down and you're running boards over it. You can see there is rust forming here. So this carbon method stuff works. If you have an indoor shop, it's going to hold up a lot longer, but I mean, it's not magic. It's going to wear off. Again, it's only been 3 months. I got rust forming here, so I'll hit it with another treatment. Yeah. I can tell you that this carbon glide stuff does work really well. You can see I keep a bottle of that right above the joiner because the slick joiner makes a safe joiner. So I keep that there. I spray it on as needed. Same thing for the table saw. But yeah, with all this moisture in the air, I need to treat this before it gets any worse. So overall, I think it's a good product. Experiment with it. What are your other options? Just using WD-40. So give it a shot. I think it's pretty good. But, it's not magic. We still live in the real world. It's going to rub off eventually, and you'll have to retreat it just like anything else. So let me know if you have any questions.